We have a special guest with us today coming all the way from the UK. And I think this is going to have a real interesting subject that a lot of people are going to enjoy. So we got Steve Rolfe. Steve, thank you so much for coming to us all the way from across the pond.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
And before we get started with your photos, why don't you talk and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
Put you on the spot here.
Yeah. So what would you like to know?
Well, how you got into photography or your interest, and also the little specialty that you're talking about, the little tiny worlds, before we get into the pictures.
Okay. So 2010, came across a book in a bookstore, and it was quite interesting. The images caught my imagination. So I picked the book up and I thought, okay, I didn't have a camera at the time, borrowed my wife's Bridge camera, got myself some figures and went on the street and started to create the scenarios. Fast forward to 20, well, I've been doing it 13 years now. So that's what got me into photography to start with.
Well, that's good. And you're in, if I remember this collective Reggio Pio, Gloucestershire? Is that correct?
That's it. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's about.
I actually got it pronounced. English is not my first language.
Yeah,
it's American English.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half from London.
Good. And you have do I understand you have a book that you just come out with?
Yes, I do. It's called Small World. I don't know if you've seen it.
Great. Is that available on Amazon, or is it strictly through your site?
Oh, good. No, it's everywhere.
Good.
It's on everywhere.
We're going to urge people. Also, I'm going to put a link down here to your website, because you do regular photography other than the small world photography as well. And
yes,
I'd like people to go out and check out your website and check out your other photos. Do you lead workshops or do anything of that nature?
I do. Sometimes I do workshops using natural light. So there's a lot of photographers that are mainly studio based. So I love to shoot natural light. So if I'm working with somebody, I find natural light is the best, in my opinion, for that. It helps you to become a better photographer, because with a studio setup, as soon as you get the settings started, you can just shoot without worry. But with natural light, if you look at a wall on the shadow, for instance, within 2 minutes, the light's completely changed. So for me, it's trying to educate and show people what they can achieve, and also looking on the back of the camera to make sure that everything is coming out as you wanted it to.
That's excellent. So I would assume that any of the workshops you have, that information will be on your website.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have to ask, where do you get your figures? They remind me so much of what you would get when you do with model railroading, almost that size.
That's it.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's it. When I first started, I got architect figures, which you can get online, and they're about 1.5 inches high, plain white, and they were 1950s sort of style. So I would then paint and cut legs off arms so they could be posed in different ways. But as my craft became a bit more, my craft improved. I noticed that you can get the already painted figures in all sorts of guises. So you get policemen, you get road workers, you get train spotters, you get all sorts. So then I'm able to increase or improve the scenarios that I'm creating. So you can get them online, on Amazon, wherever. It's just basically HO or 00, depending on the size you want. Figures. So yeah, they're all online. So you can get them on Amazon or model workshops websites.
We should mention a friend of ours up in South Dakota, who was with the South Dakota Tourist Board, started doing these after retired. I think he was doing little dinosaurs, and
it's toy photography.
Of course, South Dakota is a great place for fossils, and so I guess the dinosaurs were very appropriate for him. And Jay Gramman also was doing it with small Western figures that he was doing.
Yeah, I
So,
think these are bigger than what he's using, especially if he's
yes, I
using the
think so.
HO.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
O scale would be
Yeah.
smaller than I think what they're doing. They're using there. I guess there's a company that can provide these toys that are becoming very popular. So you are ahead of the curve.
I think
It looks
so.
like in a lot of ways.
I'm not. Well, I wouldn't say that because there's an awful lot of people that there's a lot. Obviously, with art, you get a lot of an inspiration from other people. So it got me. Someone using little people like mine gave me the inspiration to create my own. So when you look online for miniature, there's an awful lot of people that do things. A lot of it is inside interior, inside where they're using food and things to create scenarios. Whereas for me, it's on the street.
I should say, I saw and I think it was a YouTube video, but a guy was doing it with, he was taking acorns and making little figurines out of them, and then setting up, photographing as the squirrels and chipmunks would come up and destroy his little figures.
Wow, that seems a little interesting.
Well, why don't we go ahead and
let's talk about what he's doing with the tiny world. Holy cow!
I was going to start these. You had a number after them, so I'm going to take them in order of the numbering, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And the first one is I laughed out loud when I saw this. I love this. It was the guy sitting reading the newspaper
in the privy.
Yeah, with the woman looks like obviously pregnant, and another one sitting on the ground with her knees.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. I saw that and I started kind of chuckling, and it's interesting because you do whimsical, but it also looks like you do some that it's like these tiny people ended up in our world and they're having to kind of make their way through it. At least that's the impression I got.
That's spot on. I mean, I'm 52, so I didn't see this first time round, but Land of the Giants for me was
actually Fred and I met the cast from the Land of the Giants.
Holy cow!
Over 10 years ago, remember?
So I caught it. I caught it second, third, fourth time round when I was a lot younger, and it just gave me, and that was sort of another inspiration.
So instead of regular people in a giant world, you've got little people in a regular world.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to talk about on that particular image? I guess the guy's an exhibitionist with the pretty door open.
Yeah, there's within the images I create, there's fun, there's humor. Some of them there is a bit more of a more thought provoking. But the image that you're talking about is part of a series, and it's life in Britain. So some of them have a burnt out car. It's in a rough area, and some people are using the burnt out car to go to the loo. So it's not for everyone's cup of tea. Some I think there's a generation where some of the older ladies that saw the book might be a little bit, oh my good grief, what are they doing? But then the younger generation just find it hilarious.
This would be something I would tend to find in the deep south here in the States.
The privy like that, yeah. The next one.
The guy, it looked like
it's a person
or a kayaker with the
on the stairs,
on the grating.
Or on the
grating. On the grating. Yeah. He's urban rafting. He's waiting for urban rafting, so he's waiting for the rains to come so he can do it, so he can raft.
Well, he should have been down in South Florida, but
we had recent flooding in kind of our backyard, yeah. But okay, let's take the next one.
All right, number 3. All right,
okay.
And
the guy was,
I don't know. It looks like he's got
it's a pin with
like
thread.
A hat pin.
Is he fixing to throw that? Wait a minute. Oh, he has somebody tied up in the string.
Oh, yeah, he's tied up.
It's ladies. That's ladies.
Tell us the story behind this one.
It's basically, I don't know if you have it in America, but in the UK we have like knitting groups and things like that. And of course, sometimes it can be quite. Some people call them bitch and stitch because they are quite some of the ladies can be a bit nasty about their fellow people. So that is basically what that was about.
I see. So it's a settling an argument.
Yes, an argument. So she's been pinned down with.
That'd be a good title to the kitchen sketch.
Oh, I like that.
Stitch, yeah.
All right, Agnes, I'm going to show you how to knit one in purl too.
You're about to get the point here.
Yeah.
Very good.
And number 4, the guy
falling out of the beer can.
Inebriated, falling. Yeah. That is one heck of a beer. If
that was one of the, Yeah, that was one of the first, one of the early ones I did. I'm not too sure if you know, in the UK, we have a TV series called I'm a Celebrity. And basically what it is, it's celebrities that go to the Australian outback and they have to do tasks and chores, bush tucker trials. So then they have to win. They have to do awful tasks to get stars for the camp to eat. Okay. So that was, for us in the UK, Stella Artois or Stella Artois beer can is renowned for being a heavy drink. It's a very high percentage lager. So I thought the inspiration came to me one day, and I just saw this can lying on the floor like it was. I thought, okay, so I got a can, started. So I created the scenario with the can. The little person's falling out with the policeman. So he's doing his own UK-style bush tucker trial where he's drunk the can and he's falling out.
Actually, for years ago, I saw something like there was a Japanese show. And one of them they did do, people had to do these crazy stunts. And one of them was that they had to drink all kinds of beer and water. And they couldn't go to the bathroom. The last person that finally broke to relieve their bladder was the winner.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go on to the next one. This poor guy, and I like Stella Artois. I had one yesterday, I think, or the day before. All right, we got the Costa coffee here.
Yeah, they're queuing up.
That's it. That was basically a takeaway. So that was a mobile version of a Costa. Costa is it's a branded coffee over here, a bit like Starbucks.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Costa.
So so Costa, and so basically I just got a normal little caravan, and then I decked it out with Costa coffee. So they're basically waiting for their coffee fix in the morning.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd be in that line there. They get a full-size cup. Otherwise, they'll be like the guy falling out of the Stella Artois can.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, those are all the ones that you had sent to me or shared with me. If you got anything else that you want to share, how about talk a little bit about the technique and how you set up for doing these little miniatures? Because I imagine it's kind of a challenge because you got a very shallow depth of field.
Yeah, it's a standard Canon camera with 18 to 55 mil lens. So there's no macro lens. I shoot aperture priority, so it keeps it. So you shoot aperture priority. You then have central focus. So and then you play with the field. So then you have the little person nice and sharp, and then the back blurred. With regards to creating scenarios, I think someone asked me on another podcast some weeks ago, did I just stumble across chocolate bars on the floor and just go ahead and create the scenario? No, it's not. It's more thought to it. So there was one with I'm not too sure if you've seen it. It's a Mars bar. It's a chocolate bar that we have in this country called Mars. And around the time where there were probes going to Mars, I thought, well, you don't really need to go to space to explore Mars. So I had this Mars bar in my pocket, in my bag for a couple of weeks. I'd already had the little men with their suits on, so it was just a question of finding the location. So that took me a couple of weeks to try because the pavement had to be the person, the little people, and what I was shooting had to be fully focused, so you could see it clearly. Some pavements, because of the tarmac, you can sometimes lose the definition. So you have to look. So that was about 2-3 weeks. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. I think ever since I started photography in 2010, my I've become more aware of my surroundings. So I love street photography, candid street photography, capturing people who don't know they're being filmed. So then you can look around, see what's on the floor, see what shouldn't be there, and it's amazing what you'll come up with.
Interesting. And I would assume, do you use a smaller aperture to get more depth of field, or do you use a wider, smaller? Okay.
No, no, it's all done in camera. So you'll have a shallow depth. You'll have a lower f-stop. So then you're only getting what is in front of the camera. You're not really concerned about the backdrop. So sometimes you have to have a glimpse of the back, because there is another within the book. There is a litter picker, and he's picking up gherkins. With McDonald's, well, a lot of the burger places, they put in the gherkins, so it's like pickles, it's a bit like cucumbers. I always take them out, and I think a lot of people take them out, and they end up on the floor. So I just thought, okay, let's have. So
In
I
my
did
case,
a pick up.
they end up from my wife's plate to my plate.
Yeah, so I just thought, okay, most people I see take the things out, so it's like, why do you do it? So it was called why, and I had these gherkins in a bag in the fridge for about 3 weeks because I wasn't ready to use them again. I had to find the location to put them on. So I managed to find the right pavement with McDonald's in the backdrop, because then it has a correlation to everything is all together. So you have where they came from to where they ended up, and the litter picker is picking them up. So yeah, that's another one that takes you 2-3 weeks just to get everything together.
Right. Well, that's very interesting, and I'm hoping other people might get some inspiration here and give this a try themselves. I know I have done something similar to it with the little ceramic figurines years ago, and it was a lot of fun. For some reason, I kind of got away from it. So maybe you've inspired me to go back and do some more like that.
Yeah.
So it is something that, as you said, you like to do it outdoors in natural light, correct?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, in areas where it's wintering pretty badly, they could shift back into indoor, although it's a studio situation.
Yeah.
But it gives them some freedom to try something. I like natural light myself, so I think that's pretty cool. Of course, I'm usually doing nature or wildlife, but I do a lot of plant photography, so I could almost see taking those tiny figures and putting them on the plant material, or having those
tending to their giant garden.
Yeah, their giant garden there.
I had a little painter. This is a long time ago. I had a man doing painting. He had a paintbrush, so I had him actually wedged into a tree with flora. So he's basically painting.
He's painting the flora.
That's an idea.
Yeah,
there you go.
So with Photoshop, you see, you can change the colors, so you can show that he's actually painting.
And I assume that you don't use a flash, or you're not using any kind of
natural
reflectors or anything.
Just no. It is straight as it is.
All whatever nature provides.
Because when I first started this, I would create the scenario, I'd put them on the street, photograph for my portfolio, and then leave them, and then hope. I wouldn't know if anyone's seen them at all. I would go back every now and again to see if they're still there. But yeah, nowadays the later ones I do bring back with me because I want to either repaint or reuse. But when I first started, it was almost like guerrilla. It was urban street installations, basically, where you're just creating the scenario, putting it there, taking photos, and then leaving.
Good.
Interesting.
Well, you want to hold your book up one more time? Because we want everybody to go out, check that out. Available on Amazon. We're going to put your website
on
down
all
kinds
here. Of different places. Just look for the
available or a local bookstore if you can find a local bookstore anymore.
Yeah.
And I also want to mention that I think we have as many, almost more subscribers from the UK as we do here in the States. So those people across the pond there, that if you're interested in some workshops and make sure.
Here's the guy to talk to.
So great.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and it's
No worries.
a
Thank you.
very interesting subject. And I appreciate you coming on just a few minutes early for us.
No worries. Thank you for having me anyway.
Well, thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
All right. Okay.